realizing that a job in animation was possible. I didn't know that you could draw for companies or make cartoons for a living, so it was really fascinating. You got one life, and I'm like, you know what, let me just try it out. And one thing led to another, and yeah.
Welcome to the series in which I, Jason Verney, filmmaker, video artist and writer, introduce to you interesting individuals from the world of filmmaking. In episode 7, we are in Chiang Mai, Thailand, and sit down to chat with storyboard artist Dynnaro You, who, amongst other achievements in his creative catalogue, has worked with Disney, Walt Disney Animation Studios. Dynnaro speaks about his experience working for Disney, his other projects, and living in Bangkok. So here is my interview with Dynnaro You. So here we are, another episode of the Micro Budget Filmmakers podcast, and we find ourselves in Chiang Mai. And I'm speaking to somebody who's got an interesting story or interesting job or various things he does. So we are going to speak to Dynnaro and see what he does and what he's got going on and what he has had going on. So Dynnaro, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Dynnaro You. I'm currently also based in Bangkok and I am a storyboard artist for animation.
Yeah, what actually brought you to Bangkok? First of all, that's one question I wanted to ask.
Well, for me, I think with Bangkok, it's a great place to meet people, quite affordable in terms of rent and food and everything else. It's a good quality of life. So me just trying to make my own projects and do my own thing, I need that environment to kind of take more risks, right, in my own ventures. Just make my own projects and stuff.
When you say risks, you mean risks so that it keeps you more creative in this kind of that city? Like we're in Chiang Mai now, but Bangkok. Do you mean the risks? It keeps you productive, being in that vibe, and it's cheaper to live, etc.
Well, it keeps me like I'm able to play with my own creativity because I've been working 9-to-5 jobs, a lot of odd jobs, and a lot of jobs creatively. So I want to be in Bangkok so I can explore my own creativity, my own style, and make something happen for myself. Because the internet is such a high leverage place in a lot of ways. Might as well do it while I'm young, make these films, make these stories, and make these projects while I have the capacity to do so. Yeah,
and you said that it keeps you busy with other things or various things, and I'll come on to that later because you do have various different projects and avenues and various links that I've found that you deal with. But you've got an interesting sort of history with regards to film and what process you contribute to that. And
right.
I wondered where that started and whether your background. I mean, you've worked for some quite big companies, or at least one big company that I'm aware of.
Right.
But how did you fall into the kind of work that you do? Obviously, you've got a passion for art. And where did it all begin, your kind of passion for that?
So I guess we'll start from the beginning. I've been drawing since I was a kid, but I took a break since I was in late middle school. And then I picked it up back in high school because I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And things kind of grew from there, and realizing that a job in animation was possible. I didn't know that you could draw for companies or make cartoons for a living, so it was really fascinating. You got one life, and I'm like, you know what, let me just try it out. And one thing led to another, and yeah, I'm in this position. In 2019, I got a job with a YouTuber. I reached out, and that was my first official art job. Before that, I was just kind of like working on my own craft, trying to get better at drawing as much as I can. So I worked for a channel called Improvement Pill, right?
Okay. Oh, that's what it is. Right.
And it was interesting because it wasn't storyboarding, but it was along the lines of animated explainer videos. and I kind of used the principles of storyboarding or making a frame or a panel and kind of meshing it into or splicing it into a video that people can watch. Then after that, in 2021 and thereafter, I would be working for Tuttle Twins, which is a little more cartoon 2D. It was a 2D kids show. And then thereafter, in 2022, 2023, around there, that's when I got my big break at Walt Disney Feature. So it was all different types of jobs, all different types of storyboarding. So yeah.
So I guess those first two roles, those first two jobs were paid, and you kind of got. Did you get like headhunted by the Walt Disney Feature, or was it just that somebody stumbled across your work on the Tuttle thingy?
I think for Disney, I did happen to actually land I actually have a mentor at Disney, and he really helped me out. He taught me a lot, and we would actually exchange emails. And he helped me out, and he said, "It was like, hey, there's a trainee position opening up." So, and he did like my work. I made a couple of works, YouTube videos for myself, and I think the folks at Disney kind of liked my work because of that. And then I got into the trainee program because of that. I actually didn't make it into the trainee program, so I was one of the I did not make it in. However, things kind of turned a new leaf after, and I still managed to get an interview and landed a job at the studio. Yeah.
So was there a point where you thought it wasn't going to go ahead then? That you didn't actually complete that, but fate happened, is it?
Yeah, it was definitely fate. I had no idea that, because they said like they said to definitely reach back out in a couple months, and I did, and then it worked out that way. So, but it was quite amazing, such an amazing experience working at the studio. For sure.
And so how did that were you working directly for them, or is it a freelance kind of contract?
Technically I was a contractor or employee, so I was working with a director.
Okay. And so did you get involved with other aspects of the Walt Disney Feature teams? Well, you must have had some interaction with other teams, but for example, I don't know how it works with storyboarding, but there must be a limit on how there must be surely there's an unlimited amount of drawings that you could do, or do they have a strict I don't know how it works, like how many.
Well, I think for us it really depends on the script. It depends on the scripts, and yeah, we could do infinite, but there's only so many pages you can, storyboard, right?
Yeah, but I was wondering from the reason I was asking that was because from a live action film, you can do 4 storyboards for a 5-minute scene, but with animation it's always moving. So how I wonder how that differs. Do you happen to know how the storyboard process differs from live action to?
I kind of have some gist. Actually, I was just talking to a friend earlier today, and he was having a live action, a director wanted him to do a storyboard, but it was based on live action. And so this is not just Disney, but this is like the whole industry.
Yeah.
It's almost like we kind of keyframe the boards, like it's moving. So in a lot of the productions in animation, we have a script, we storyboard it, we get the panels, and then we have an editor, animatic editor, take our drawings and stitch it into a story reel,
A rough cut.
a rough cut of because with live action animation, the processes are kind of flipped. So with live action, depending on the director, you would, and again, this is all different for each production, but in a general sense, you would shoot coverage or shoot what you need to shoot for live action, and then you kind of make the film in post.
Yeah.
Right. But for us, because animation takes so long to make, right, a second of animation is a couple days worth, right?
Yeah.
Exaggerating, but it's along those lines. So for us, we almost have to edit the film before we make the animation, right?
Yeah, because as you've been saying that's kind of making more sense, because of course they only come to a storyboarder when they've already designed a character. They've already got in their mind, that, whereas a filmmaker, he's only got the script and he's not even, filmed any scenes.
Right.
I suppose. So working for Disney or other companies, did that lead on to, for example, the current day? Do you get work on the back of that, or is it kind of back to square one because you're not working for those companies?
It's harder to say because it's not even a portfolio thing, because it's great. I have the Disney resume on, the Disney title on my resume. However, we're such in a weird place with animation in that there's really not many jobs to go around. So Western animation isn't really doing too well at the moment. I see it as another opportunity to have things change and we just kind of do our own things. But maybe maybe in 2025, things might turn a new leaf. Maybe I will, see something happen. But but yeah, so.
Okay, well, I've still got a few questions that I've not even spoke, but a couple of questions that came up just from listening to you then. I remember when we first met, and you mentioned about we were speaking about Japanese, anime and Ghibli and all that stuff, and I thought, I remember you saying, I think you were quite interested in that. I don't know if it was storyboarding for that or just getting involved with that cinema more. I can't remember.
Well, actually, my foundation is Japanese animation.
Oh, yeah.
Not necessarily what you see, and we were just talking about trends earlier, right?
Yeah.
Not the trendy, animes, but there's definitely, another side of Japanese animation that's just art, right? It's just amazing, and I do want to work with people like that someday, and hopefully I think with Japanese animation versus the Western animation, I think it's different in terms of hierarchy or in terms of culture too, because I think in the West it's a little more collaborative, but in Japan they kind of have maybe a singular vision to realize. So that might be a little different, but I don't even know if being a Japanese a board artist for Japan will be worth it, but I don't know that part just yet, but that's one of the dreams for sure.
And the dreaded one of the other questions, the other thing I thought about was AI, because it's being talked about. So what's do you worry about that for people in your situation, that jobs are going to be taken? Or
it's a very simple question with a complex answer. I think with Gen AI, I was actually pretty worried about it first, but I think over time I kind of just haven't really took into account AI, because for storyboarding, for generative AI, right? Investors come in, or people who do software engineers, of course they would say, hey, this is a great tool for you to use, right? But the problem is that I think a lot of them don't know this, some specifics of the artistic process, and so it kind of gets lost. I saw a Twitter thread in that there's a person that said that they had a couple of AI arts, and when they wanted them to do the prompt and do the thing, they did it, but like, of course, the person, I think he was a director or some sort of manager of some sorts. He wanted to fix like minor things, like fix these things into the piece, and I don't think that I believe that generative AI artists couldn't do that. Yeah, because like it or not, generative AI, there is still a random factor to it, and you need to be able to implement notes, and that's really big for storyboards, is that we need to revise. It's almost like when we make it as well, like sometimes it's just out of our hands, like the art will go wherever it wants to go, but how we take control is in the notes process. Script feedback in general, because for animation we do passes of the whole episode script, and then we look at it in the episode, the story reel in its entirety, and then we will fix it based on these. For generative AI, that's still a little harder to imagine. I'm not saying that I'll never do it, but I think with generative AI, they seem to kind of hit the 20%. What is it? Only like a subset of, like, I feel bad for visual development artists and illustrators. I think they're getting hit the hardest. But I still think it's a little, yeah. So.
Yeah, I've got mixed feelings. I mean, it's great for getting to the end point. But, for someone like me, for example, I can write direct, but I would like a storyboarder, a human one. But I know that there is ways to... In fact, there's been ways to do storyboards for ages. Even before AI, you can do a stick man and that kind of thing. But I spoke to someone earlier this week, actually, here in Chiang Mai, and they did a fiction film. And there's a reason I'm saying this. They did a live action short film, and he said he used AI in parts, and I was thinking, oh no, what's that? But it was actually in parts where it was kind of dream sequences, and he wanted to put in afterwards that this woman becomes a werewolf, and he could do it afterwards. So they wouldn't have been able to do it on the day, but it came up that they could suddenly change that character in this black and white dream sequence, I think it was, into a werewolf. And that was a valid reason, because it's almost like using a tool within Final Cut or something, Burning or Premiere. But the reason I'm saying that, part of the reason for me saying that is because have you wanted to, or have you ever been asked to do live action storyboarding for a live action film, short film or
no
whatever?
I haven't, but I would love to see how that is. Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
I haven't spoken to any live action directors just yet. Actually, I don't even know what the live action scene is. It's like,
yeah, but I guess for someone like me, I've always associated storyboarding with live action more than I have Disney or animation, just from the films I've watched and the filmmaking. I just want to touch on a few other points, mainly concerning your other things that you do, because you don't just do storyboarding. You've got something that's a crowdfunding Kickstarter project. What's that about? I saw that it's Elixir.
Yeah. So that's the code name for it right now. It's not the official name. So that is going to be an animated short film I'm going to be making. So it's going to be my first project or animated film project, because I've been meaning to make animated short film for a while, to some extent, and I haven't made a project that was I really, 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 really tried. That's the basic way to say it, but that's what I'm going for.
So would you? That leads me on to something else then. So would you storyboard it and then animate it, or would you? Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't need to storyboard it because your actual animation would be the story. Your drawings are the.
So it was crazy because part of me just doesn't even know how to animate properly, but I know how to storyboard in keyframe, so I might be doing that in a more polished way, right?
So Yeah.
So that's what I'm thinking of at the moment. I'm still doing little thumbnails, of course, to really get the the visual story down before I start production. And the reason why I'm also in Thailand is, you asked earlier, is that there's a lot of talent in Thailand, and especially Bangkok. So I need to, if I can get like hire some help, that would be really, really great to help with the film.
So I don't know how you go about editing animation anyway, because I've only edited live action stuff. But is that because you're the drawer? And I mean, I don't know. The fact that you're doing it, are you editing it yourself as you go along, or would you get someone else in for that?
No, I think I would be editing it myself because in a way I've already edited the film before it's being made. Yeah, but because for animation, like they do have like creative, like Western animation, the editors are a part of the creative process, right? So they can do suggestions, and it's like, hey, we should probably do this, that. That's like Western animatic. Then again, I'm only speaking from a storyboarder perspective. I don't really know, but that's what I get from a general sense. In Japan, though, editing is a technical job that you put into, like, you assemble the film, right? Like it's almost like the creative decisions were already made.
Oh, okay, yeah. So that's and if you did that, I mean, would you self-fund it? We're micro-budget filmmakers. We're always talking about budgets, but
I'm funding it right now. So I think it's exciting that I'm going to be putting money on the line.
So does that mean that the crowdfunding thing is still going and it hasn't reached it, or you still think that the money will be more than the goal that you put in?
Well, I put the Kickstarter mainly because a friend of mine suggested to do a Kickstarter, which I never really thought of. And I never really done a Kickstarter before, so I just did a small amount, and I had no idea that it was gonna be funded. So it was basically a way to test the waters, but ideally I need to find another way to help fund the film.
Okay.
So I can do it full time.
Okay, yeah, because I personally, I've always thought about crowdfunding, but again, people think it's an easier job than it is. You've got to be hands-on with the rewards. You've got to notify people. If you're very organised, which is not always someone like me, you've got to, it's a bigger process. Not like just putting a video out there and then hoping the money comes in, and there's a lot of. You've got to update people,
right.
But it sounds like you took someone's advice and you've gone with it, so that's great.
Yeah.
And what is the Gumra Studios Resolve? What is Studio Resolve? Is that your own company without an E?
So that will be my studio entity.
Right.
So Studio Resolve or Resolve Animation would be my, I guess, where I'm going to be making films from. It's going to be under that brand.
Okay, so it wasn't your storyboarding animation stuff, but it's the film one is going to be, Okay, you've already told us about Tuttle Twins and Improvement Pill, and your resume, or as we say in England, CV, but whatever, before what did you study? I forgot, did you say earlier what you studied in...
college?
Yeah.
I studied animation in college, but I dropped out. Thank God. So,
well, you've had a lot of good fortune here because that's happened, and the Disney thing where you thought you maybe hadn't got in, and Velvet Avocado. Should I we don't have to talk about that.
It's okay. It's just my sketchbook compilation that I made.
Yeah.
It was all my sketches for the past 4 to 5 years, and I made that book solely to actually help fund the film.
And this is not including your storyboarding you've done for other companies. It's like $15 or something for, what is it? I think I read 200 or
228 pages.
Yeah. I saw that. But why avocado?
I like avocados, but Velvet Avocado. Literally, I was just I just thought of that name randomly.
Yeah.
On the bikes in Chiang Mai or in Bangkok. I was like, oh, that's a cool name. I'm just gonna put it.
Yeah, well, in Chiang Mai or Bangkok, I'm often having avocados and banana smoothies, or something in my country it would cost you a fortune to have an avocado and smoothie, But
well, in California it's $10. Here it's like $1 something.
Wow. Yeah, in England it's not great. So yeah, well, we're coming at this interview as I say, as you're a storyboarder. So I don't know what other departments you might have touched on with filmmaking, but it sounds like you've been involved with various aspects directly related to your storyboarding, like you said, script writers.
Right.
So yeah. This is just your card, isn't it?
Oh, that's where all my links
I did
are.
look through, and Substack, Bonfire Theatre, Bonfire
at the atelier.
Yeah, and what is that? Bonfire Atelier?
It's funny, like you're saying.
I actually followed the link.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah.
But then I had to register. I put my email in, but then I had to load the app, right. and this is nothing against your thing. It's just in Substack, and I just didn't have time to log in and see what it was all about.
So that's just my newsletter. It's just a way to kind of help with emails, because. So I guess like another kick is with this film, right? I got inspired by indie developers, game developers. Mm-hmm. So what they would do is they would build a game, and they would make devlogs to update people on what they got done, what's new, what did they learn.
Yeah.
As a way to make content associated, like almost like tailored or pegged to the film, or I mean to the game, or the software, whatever.
Right.
So I thought of it. This is a way to kind of do the same thing, but with my short film. Yeah.
It also gets you in the habit of using the mailing system,
right?
Like the crowdfunding or whatever you decide to do. Okay, well, maybe we'll collaborate in the future. You never know. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know if there's anything else you wanna point out about your working life, or where you're going, what you might have projects, any interesting projects you're working on right now apart from those ones.
Well, I'm in a decision to kind of I might do the same thing with Improvement Pill, but maybe for freelance, as a freelance opportunity. Number two, I have like some short stories I kind of want to storyboard, so that might be the next step. But I need to finish this film. I need to work on solely this and not deviate.
Yeah, I know that feeling. I've got 10 different things, and I'm not concentrating. Like this even coming to meet you, and this is like procrastination to not do my other work.
Right.
I'm just giving myself more work. I probably should give a little shout out to BKK Unzine. Sorry, BKK Unzine.
Yeah.
Because that's where we met in Bangkok, and it's a good thing that a friend of ours, Boris, and others have kind of put together.
Actually, when
you probably know more about that. I mean,
when the podcast is done, definitely like tell Boris that.
About that. Yeah, I was actually going to interview him anyway.
Yeah, it was just he could probably tell you better than I can.
Yeah.
A co-creating community in Bangkok, an up-and-coming art group or art scene that they're trying.
Well, I'm bound to put this in the description and say where we've met. But yeah, so well, from one fellow Thailand residing artist to another, thank you very much for your time and the interview.
Dude, thanks for coming by.
Yeah,
seriously.
Good. Okay. All the best, and I'll see you soon.
Yeah, take care.
You've been listening to the MBF Micro Budget Filmmakers podcast. And if you want to continue to have access to filmmaker tips, events, and exclusive interviews, do sign up for the next Plasm Productions newsletter. You'll be able to read exclusive interviews, attend workshops, and ultimately mingle with like-minded creative folk, as well as speak to more great people in the world of film.